personal development is like your ability to change the way you think through reading, listening to audiobooks. So one thing I realized was that if I can change the way that I think, I can change the outcomes. I'm originally from Zimbabwe. So I actually came to the US in about 2017. I came on a swimming scholarship. So I went to school in North Carolina, school called Marshall University. I double majored, studied business, studied political science too. So obviously I was in college. And then from there I got into like door-to-door sales. So I worked at a pest control company. Did that for about 3 months. I actually thought that was gonna be my long-term career, to the point where I actually expanded out with them. I went from Charlotte, North Carolina to Orlando, Florida. So I got down to Orlando, things didn't work out as I planned in Orlando. So I was like 2 weeks after graduation and I was like, what do I do with my life now? So luckily I saw an ad for a sales company. It was in Virginia Beach, which was about a 7-8 hour drive away. And I really contemplated about, taking that leap, going from North Carolina to Virginia Beach, but it seemed like a really good opportunity. So I actually moved all the way from North Carolina to Virginia. Yeah, so actually we worked on the AT&T campaign inside of Sam's Club. I was studying business administration. And I remember when my dad was still alive, we had a conversation and it was like, hey, should I do business administration with concentration in finance or in marketing? And what he said was like, hey, do it in marketing because you can market any product. And I was like, well, that makes sense. Then I realized that I can actually sell and market any product that I kind of want. I struggled with the sales early on. It's very interesting. I know I did come from a sales background, but the reason why I left the other sales company that I was in was because, like I said, my dad passed away. I was going through like depression and like mental health issues where I realized that I had anxiety when I talk to people. I have to kind of battle through it. So I wasn't like all naturally good at the sales. So it took me a portion where I was just kind of like having conversations with myself. I was like, Brendon, get out of here. Brendon, get out of your head. I was able to do that. And then after about 2-3 weeks of like kind of struggling, getting out of that, that's when I was able to really kind of like take off and understand the sales and the sales piece a little bit more. So a big thing I heard early on in the industry was personal development. Now, personal development is like your ability to change the way you think through reading, listening to audiobooks. So one thing I realized was that if I can change the way that I think, I can change the outcome. So I had a big focus on changing how I thought, because with something like the depression, anxiety, now I'm no clinical therapist, but one thing I realized was it all boiled down to the way I think and the thoughts that I had. So one thing I really focused on doing was just feeding myself with a lot more positive energy, a lot more positive influence. So I listened to a lot of audiobooks about like success orientation and just like being positive, thinking the right way. I read a lot of books on leadership, communication, and again, thinking the right way too. And what that did overall is it changed the way that I thought long term. And that's really kind of what helped me take off in the sales. There was 2 books I'd say that really had a big impact on me. One of them was 10X. 10X is a book by Cardone. A lot of what the book talks about is just like wanting more out of your life. I initially came into this industry not really wanting that much out of life. I was just like, whatever. And then I read the book and I started to realize that, hey, I did want a little bit more out of life. And I wanted to, like do cool things for my family. Like recently, one of the cool things that we actually got to do was me and my wife, we got to travel to Paris to watch my younger brother in the Olympics because he competed in the Olympics. Yeah. So in my second year of ownership, I was able to save over $100,000 in the second year of ownership. And it was an interesting conversation, but I sat down with the accountant and they were like, hey, you have to like pay yourself more. And I'm a very like live below your means kind of guy. And I was like, I don't want to. They're like, you have to for tax purposes. And I was like, okay. Cool. I'll do that. And that money was the money that we actually used to fund the whole trip to go to Paris. The other book was Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. It was a really good book on just like mentality. I thought I had gone through a lot with the passing of my dad, and I realized that, wow, other people have been through a lot more stuff too, so it just built a lot of perspective that like, hey, my negative isn't as bad as anyone else's negative, and a negative is a negative at the end of the day. So it really built a good mentality, kind of like a callus to, hey, negatives are going to happen in life, but you just have to be able to deal with those. It's interesting. So my dad had this vision. This was back in, say, 2012. So I know I come from Africa. People are like, oh yeah, I come from. We were well off. We were financially well. Right? My dad worked really, really hard. When he passed, they did a study, and his net worth was over $1 million. So it was kind of cool, right? But basically, he built a pool in our backyard. So it's a 25-meter indoor heated pool. It's like a complex, like it's like in the house. You know what I mean? So he was like, hey, so I have two brothers. I'm the middle child, older brother and younger brother. We all swam in scholarships in the United States. Older brother went to school in New York. I went to school in North Carolina. My younger brother, I guess he was the one who benefited the most out of the pool. And my dad's dream was to get my brother to go to the Olympics. And what inherently happened is he got really good at a really, really young age. So any records that I have, I don't have anymore because he broke there, right? So he got really good. He was able to get say 80, close to 90% scholarship to University of South Dakota. So he's currently at the University of South Dakota. He's in his last year, and he was able to qualify for the Paris Olympics. So yeah, we actually went there. So my dad ran a electrical contracting company back in Zimbabwe. So for perspective, we do the electrics and mostly electric work for one of the largest clients in Zimbabwe. It's the equivalent of like a fast food chain. Imagine if Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, Burger King were all one company. So we do all the projects for them, right? So they're one of the biggest clients, and he grew that business, but he did it for over 20 years. So he showed us what hard work, discipline, and like a lot of focus can get. And yeah, we were in a third world country, but he was very well off in a third world country because of the work that he did. So that kind of rubbed onto me and my brothers, because like all we know is just high level work ethic, high level discipline, high level focus. And when he was just a great example at the end of the day. Like he showed us like what to do, the right thing to do. He was an entrepreneur. So it was interesting. The older I got, we had different kind of conversations. Like I'll never forget this one time he built a house. Like, so the way real estate works back home is a little bit different to here. So a good way of like investing in real estate is like buying like smaller homes, like in the proverbial hood, not really hood, but like in the rural areas. That's what it's called, right? In the rural areas. And he told me, I was like, Dad, why are you building this home? He was like, I have an extra $25,000. He was like, I'm probably gonna spend it. So why don't I just put it in these two homes? I build them, and then they're actually going to be stored in a long-term source of value. So he put that money into these two homes. He ended up passing away, and the value of the homes rose. And my mom actually sold those two homes, and she opened up the second office to our electrical contracting company in Harare, which is the main capital city. Like when I was in Zimbabwe for my wedding, like a month, 2 months ago. So when it comes to inspiring others about working hard, you have to make it seem fun. You know, I saw my dad work extremely hard. I'll never forget so he was a contractor. So as a contractor, it's like you're on call all the time. So there were days when he would leave at like 1 a.m, get home at 6 a.m, and then go straight to work. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. But he made it look so fun. He would get home at night when we're all done, and we'd just hang out, watch football, soccer, right? Watch soccer and just like hang out, have conversations. And he made it look fun. So when I grew up, I looked at working hard and achieving goals as my version of fun. So some people look at like fun as like going out partying. I look at fun as like, hey, what is my goal? If I can work hard and achieve that, that's fun for me. So making face-to-face sales look fun, it honestly just is fun. It's hard to say, but like it's uncomfortable in the beginning, because like the reality is you're talking to strangers and like you don't know their backstory. They have no idea about your backstory, but you build a lot of relationships. So it opens your eyes up and your perspective to like there's so many people out there with so many different backstories and so many different backgrounds. And that, I think, is one of the most important things with life. Like you learning about different cultures, learning about different people, what they like, what they don't like, and just learning about people is one of the most fun things in the world. because like people are interesting, and if you like people, you will like face-to-face sales. I'm grateful for my parents, my mom and my dad. Like I said, my dad passed away, but I'm extremely grateful for what he taught me, the work ethic, the discipline he instilled, the vision, just having a bigger vision of what you want the future to look like. And I'm super grateful for my mom. My mom has been that person who, through thick and thin, like even when I started in this industry, she was a bit unsure about it. She was like, "You're working really, really hard, but you're not seeing a lot of success. Like, hey," but I was like, "Mom, I love this." And she was like, "Yo, if you like it, I like it too." You know what I mean? So she was just a big, big, big support system. She was the person that I can truly, truly say kept me level-headed going through that year and a half after my dad's passing, because like I was in America. I was, starting this industry, and I was starting to do well in the industry, and I graduated college. All that stuff happened, and she was alone in Zimbabwe, and just seeing how she kept her strength, she kept her faith, and she just kept going. She was a nominee for Businesswoman of the Year in Zimbabwe the year after my dad passed. I'm like, if she can do that, I gotta do that too. So she was just a huge inspiration. Even right now, I look at it and I'm like, I'm starting to do a lot well off financially, but I'm like, I gotta get to her level. You know what I mean? So I see what she's done, just her attitude, her enthusiasm, her will to just like keep going regardless of the situation. It's been a great just pillar for me to just see, and I'm like, okay, I have to do what she is doing, and that for me has just been, I'm super thankful for it.